Hello, collective, Instagram, anyone who comes across this live today. Welcome. We're going to be talking about collective energies with my beautiful soul sister, Simran. So I'm just going to go ahead and add her here. And this is going to be a very, I'd like to say, deep on kind of some of the energies that are happening on the planet. And this is not... Hi, how are you?
Hello, my lovely.
It's so good to see you. I was just introducing the
Hi.
live. Oh my gosh, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can
Okay,
hear you
beautiful.
super well.
Beautiful. I'm so excited to connect with you. Oh
Oh,
my
me too.
gosh.
It's always so much fun.
This is going to be such a good chat because, the last time we spoke, even though it's obviously the same things happening now, it was such a different kind of energy that's kind of progressed, I feel, but also there's
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
awakenings. Yeah. So I would love to hear whatever you have to share. I just heard that the Senate voted against the mandates in France. But I know that they're still talking about the Green Pass and there's a lot of things going on there. So,
Yeah.
take it
I
away, whatever you
mean,
feel. Yeah.
so happy to connect with you again.
I know.
So do you know what? To be honest, I have to say, in order for me to keep my sanity and not get super riled up about what's happening here in France, I don't watch the news. I very rarely watch the news just because I find myself screaming at the TV. And
I feel that.
my partner is French, and we actually don't have the same views about what's happening in the world. So we'll go into this a little bit later, but I am being taught and called to really walk my talk and practice tolerance in all aspects of my life. And so in terms of the health pass here in France, we still have to use it, show it everywhere we go. So if we don't have the V, we have to have a antigenetic or PCR test within 72 hours. Otherwise, we can't go to a gym, a restaurant, a cafe, a cinema. So, even though I think it's positive that the Senate didn't pass it, my feeling is that it's not over yet. I do think it's great that it was like stopped right now. But as we're going to get deeper into the conversation, I'm sure, is October and up towards Pluto return of the United States, February 2022, it's going to be wild. And this is not about instilling fear anywhere. It's literally about preparing yourself. Like, you know what the weather report is, so take a raincoat, take an umbrella. And so I feel that's what we're being called to do. And more than ever, as this, let's say, intensity increases on the earth plane, we're going to be called more and more to practice tolerance in everything. So,
I love that you said tolerance, Simran, because I think that's very important. Like just to practice, kind of dissipating that energy and really focusing on what you're choosing to really take in, because I do believe that, like for me, like it's very easy for me to manifest a physical thing connected to what's going on if you're getting too caught up in the energy, right? So, and I know, I'm sure a lot of people, it will happen to them too. So yeah, I'd love to hear about that. And I also would love to hear, at some point too, about your Telegram, because I know a lot more people are having access to that now,
yeah,
and are choosing to pursue, those other sites because they hold more freedom and
yeah.
connection to knowledge. So yeah, any information that you have, and I
Yeah,
welcome
so
that.
I'll share personally how I'm navigating these times. And we've spoken before about my views about that sharp thing that you can take in your arm and of all of the restrictions around it. And I have shared on my own channel as well as yours, all of the reservations that I have about it. Bearing in mind, I fully respect everyone's choice to choose what is good for them. So my entire family has taken it, and I will bring you up to date with my own personal situation because I think this will help others who, like you and me, are in a situation where it's becoming increasingly difficult to move forward, connect with people that we love, do things that we like, given the restrictions that we're feeling. So yes, thank you for talking about my Telegram. I literally just started it actually
Yes.
after this blackout, and
Oh
I have
gosh.
to say it's liberating for me because I've already been shadow banned for the last 18 months. Like, people don't see a lot of my stuff. And that doesn't stop me, because everything that I share is about my self-expression. It's literally a healing and sharing for myself. So if one person
Yes.
sees it, or 50 people see it, or hundreds of people see it, that's not the important point for me. It's literally, I think it's this old witch wound that a lot of definitely women and a lot of magi wizards in this community will also feel, is through ancient times, through our lineage, where we have been literally persecuted for speaking what our truth is. And that doesn't mean it's the ultimate truth for everyone. And I think this is very much South Node Sagittarius that we're transmuting, is where there's one truth for everyone, because there isn't. And that's what we're seeing in the collective, with all these mandates of coercing people to do things. And let's say sugarcoating that to say it's not a coercion, you have a choice, when it's not really, when they're taking away your social liberties. So on my Telegram, I've been going down the rabbit hole for like 4 years, but I've just started to share some of the things that I look at. And in a way, it's liberating, as much as Telegram is, let's say, fairly free at the moment. And it's just opened a huge new avenue for me, because I can share whatever I like, no matter how crazy. And guys, I'm a little bit crazy on the occult way. I go deep into that, through the dimensions, all of the symbolism. I'm really into it. And it doesn't have to be for everyone, but what I share on the Instagram helps people to understand why I have a certain view of the world and what's going on. And so I take in this information, I look at a lot of different sources, and I'm not saying all of those sources are true, by the way, but ultimately I use my own channel, which everyone has here, especially people who are following you. Everyone is in some way intuitive, and it's going to be opening up more and more. And so I go into what's happening with the restrictions that are happening over the world, the hidden agendas at play, which are actually not even hidden anymore, right?
Yeah, it's plain sight at this point.
It's literally in plain sight.
Yeah.
And despite that, what I'm finding so shocking is how so many people are doubling down and let's say sticking to following, complying. Now, I'm not judging anyone for doing that, and I will share my own story, which has been very, very difficult. So we've spoken about that, right? And maybe I'll just get into it now, because everything that comes afterwards is also a way for people to connect with the fact that there's no one size fits all at all in this game.
Exactly.
So we have been speaking many times with you that, both of us are pro-choice, the ability to choose what goes in your body. I've gone really deep into what is in these particular sharp things that go in our arms. And I also shared my own personal situation where I'm living in France and my family is flung all over the world. And my parents are, elderly, they're living in Hong Kong, which is part of China. And I've also been sharing how much internal rage I've been feeling, rage against the system, right?
Yeah.
And this rage, I know, is not just from this lifetime. And a lot of you who are going to be on here are going to be feeling like this rage, this like witch wound, this persecution. And it's not always great to use that as an excuse, and I'm not using it as an excuse, but some of us will really feel like me, why I have a problem with complying, right?
Exactly.
Because I came to this earth plane in this lifetime to transmute that karma. I'd also shared that I believe this is a time of karma accelerating, and for many of us it's the end of karma. And definitely for me, I feel I am playing out a lot of old karmic cycles right now, and as humanity we're going in the ringer, and it's at the moment I see us as if we're in a tunnel.
Yep.
And the veils are thinning of this tunnel. A lot more people are able to see behind agendas, right? And at the same time, we also have a choice. So as angry as I have this undercurrent of anger, as angry as I can be, I also took the decision on Monday to take the sharp thing. And you know, this is such a difficult decision for me. I was crying on my way there, not because I want to take it, but because I choose love. And given the country that my parents are living in, there is no way I can even enter there despite a 3-week confinement. So I won't be able to see them. So that would have meant 2 years. And, you know, every single second that you're separated from your loved ones in this time, especially when they're older, you never know what's going to happen. So I decided to take it.
Yep.
And at the same time, I'm canvassing for everyone to have a choice. And also the people who have taken it, I would like everyone to know that none of us are victims. We have a choice, and we also at the same time, like I'm going to continue canvassing for people to have choice. I'm going to continue canvassing for people to know exactly what they're taking into their bodies. And if then they decide to do it, that's totally up to them. So yeah, do you want me to go into more occult agendas, or
Yeah.
what do people want to hear about?
Yeah, I feel, and just looking at kind of the people that have been joining, I feel like it would be great to go over we can talk about the occult agenda. I don't mind that at all because there is accuracy to it. And like I said, it's in plain sight. The terms and conditions are in front of us. So we can go into the rabbit hole, if you will, and we can also touch on intersecting it with the collective energy that's happening right now, because you know, on Twitter and whatnot, I do obviously see on Twitter there's a lot of, you know, spiritual Twitter, they're talking about what's going on, you know, prepare yourself. And we're not inviting that fear energy, we're inviting the energy of awareness, and also the recognition that there's multiple timelines, but being aware of what timeline humanity is on right now. So yeah, I would love to dive into that, whatever, you know, whatever you have to share. Thank you so much.
That's a great question. So as I said, between now and I'm not the only one saying this, by the way, because it's super clear for a lot of people who feel energies. A lot of people are saying the same thing. So I'm not original in this, but it's the way that I speak about it is I had spoken last year about the energy of the collapse of Atlantis, the timeline, the frequency of the collapse of Atlantis, how the United States and the US, their commerce are linked. And a lot of what is happening in the US is going to be almost automatically what happens in the rest of the world. So all eyes are on the US, especially for the US Pluto return 2020. Between now and then, you know, we've been hearing about shortages. We've been hearing, some people have been hearing about total blackouts, 10 days of darkness, 3 days of darkness, you know, prepare to go off grid, prepare to have supplies, you know, and I would say my personal view is everything is possible. I personally believe there will be a lot more disclosure We're
Yep.
going to be hearing a lot more about the people in power that run corporations, governments, institutions, all the Saturnian structures that we take for granted, which make up literally our civilizations. So, you know, medical care, obviously pharma is part of that.
Yep.
Government, like social care, everything to do with the way society is built. I do believe that it's the beginning of the end for that. All of those structures that we take for granted, where we rely on the state infrastructure.
Right.
I do believe that's crumbling. Again, not about fear, it's about collective consciousness. And I think it's important to very quickly talk about why I say the collapse of Atlantis is important, is because the US and other countries as well, but technological advancement, the whole transhuman agenda, these are themes that those of us who had lifetimes at Atlantis have witnessed. And you don't even have to know what Atlantis is or what it's about, but it's where we have got so far out of touch with our humanity, with organic structures, with being close to nature. We have manipulated nature, our bodies, our psyches so far. And this is what happened during the collapse of Atlantis, where they, you know, the lost civilization of Atlantis had given the shock thing to their whole people. People were dying, and they went into Lemuria, which was also in the final stages of its collapse, to look for organic natural healing. So what do I believe that we should focus on in this period? I do believe it makes some sense to have some supplies. I'm not saying go hoard. Please don't hoard, because then you're just making a self-fulfilling prophecy. Have a little bit of food in reserve. I'm not saying you're going to need it, which is great. Then you can just use it. But a little bit, right? Have some torches, candles around. So like if we're going super into the practical, have some fresh water around, have a way to have heat when you don't have electricity, especially for people in the northern hemisphere or in cold countries. We might need it, we might not. There's nothing wrong with being prepared, right? Have some food supplies that are super high in superfoods, micro ingredients. So shilajit, fulvic acid, green powders. Of course, you can have canned perishable stuff, but actually you can survive on 0.5 grams of shilajit a day if it comes down to it. And so just learn how to, going forward, be close to the land, be close to your food supply, be close to becoming more self-reliant than relying on things, logistics, infrastructure. So what are we seeing all around the US? Ships all around who are not being able to come in. So also be aware that this whole idea of shortages and lack of supplies, they are mostly manufactured.
Yep,
Because
I agree
there's
with that.
an agenda in play, right? We already spoke, I think, last time about farmers being told to destroy crops. There's plenty of evidence of that around if you just dig below the mainstream. So, okay, the way around shortages is to have a bit of reserve, is to connect to local farmers and find a way that you have access to food supply if you cannot grow it yourself. Between now and February, March, the first quarter of 2022, this cognitive dissonance that we've been speaking about, I think, is set to increase as well, because disclosures are coming super fast now. I think we've already been seeing that with whistleblower movements. That is set to increase. And some of the stuff that people are going to be seeing, like some of us already know about this, but the extent of how children have been involved is going to be very, very shocking, because some of it is going to be coming out into the mainstream. We've also seen a huge clampdown on, you know, like the C word, where people are getting shadow banned and canceled and taking off. And this is because the timeline that we are on currently is there's no way out of this disclosure. Like
amazing.
the time for these secrets are up, and the powers that be, which are ruling us, really the 1% that are ruling the rest of us, are in free fall. It's like they have nothing to lose, so they're willing to go to any lengths to keep those structures in place. So we're seeing many reasons why there should not be any more control, right? And we're seeing countries doubling up. We're seeing it in Australia, we're seeing it in Canada, we're seeing it in definitely parts of Europe. And so how do we navigate this time? So we were speaking about tolerance before. We were speaking about calming your nervous system, because I had mentioned I don't watch a lot of the news, just because I am someone who's very sensitive, and it really upsets me when I literally see blatant lies, numbers, fake numbers, or like most of the numbers, in my point of view, that we're seeing on the mainstream are fake.
Right. Well, you're right.
You know, like science, we said, can be manipulated in any which way, and we're only seeing one narrative. So in all other times, everyone talks about being unbiased, seeing many different sides of the story. In this particular narrative, there's only one that seems to be allowed. So people are going to start questioning more and more.
Yeah.
And as disclosure increases, as people feel like, say, their livelihoods squeezed, right? A lot of the times, I think you know what it's like. You have sensed people, watched people losing their livelihoods for their beliefs. And so people, their survival instincts are going to be heightened, sharpened. We're kind of feeling almost under attack. So in this kind of environment, in this, let's say, global landscape, what are we to do? This is where we support our fellow human, create community, help each other out. Everything that we're not getting, is this world in collapse? My point of view is that it is.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. It's just the question of what is the timeline and what is the consciousness of people, of humanity, as we go through these changes. Because for me, the changes are inevitable. It's just a question of how much are we going to hang on to these old structures when we are already on a momentum towards change. Again, if we go back to ancient timelines that are in a lot of our DNAs, a lot of people will know, feel, have memories of deja vu. Like I've had so many deja vu experiences, like, oh my gosh, I feel like we're going through this again. And I get angry, like, why have we not learned our lessons, you know? Yeah. But I feel that there's no way that humanity, let's say, is going to miss it this time, because things are going to get really ugly in order for us to see it.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to add to that. It's like we were talking about, it's in plain sight. So it's in front of our faces. I do believe what you're saying. I've been picking up the same sort of energy with all of these whistleblowers coming to the forefront. And I myself, I can't watch the news. It's just, you know, coming from where I was. And it's interesting because from when I was a young age, I saw how different the system was from what I felt the way it should have been led, right? And so my mind, the process-oriented person that I am, saw what was going on, but it wasn't until this happened where I saw, okay, there's definitely something wrong here. I mean, some of these rules, first of all, we know they don't make sense. For the people who defend them, that's okay. But as you said, it is for everyone on an individual basis in our own, you know, karma and our own lessons, our soul experience here, but also collective. Those illusions are collapsing. The universe is not going to play with that. Now, when you say things are going to get worse, I do agree with that. But I feel as well, in addition to the getting worse, you're right about the whistleblower part. You know, I just want to say this for anyone that is coming across this video now or later. Project Veritas has been an amazing resource for me, and you sent me that video, and since then I've been monitoring their page and seeing what is happening, and they're, you know, broadcasting these whistleblowers, showing what's happening on the inside, right? Following the leaders and seeing how they're running away. And you know, I'm not going to talk about religion here, but if people, for those of you who are like, well, this is the end of the world and the religion of everything, there's a verse in every religious book, and even in general from what we're seeing right now, that those who run away from the truth are the ones who are actually at fault. And so when you see these people at the top running away, when they're saying, hey, can you provide an explanation as to why you said we need to not talk about fetal cells being inside the ingredients? Let's talk about that. And they're running. That's, I mean, if you were positive about it, voila, yep. Yeah. So
right. No, I fully agree with you. And there's so many. Let's say I'd say they're like warriors, right? Like James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Like for me, he's a warrior, a light worker, and also I would say as whistleblowers, people who call themselves truthers, right? Some of them are, and some of them be aware of agendas. And there's no way for me to kind of teach this. It's like something that you feel. Sometimes when stuff is broadcast on mainstream as disclosure, as explanations of what's happening behind, let's say, big tech, notice why it's been shown by the mainstream and try to see if you can see behind agendas, right? So I'm not going to name anything specifically, but a lot of people will kind of understand what I'm saying here is that if something is on the mainstream, it's because they want you to have that particular point of view.
Exactly.
Right?
Like FB, like the social site with the blue bar. I mean, that whistleblower getting verified immediately, but the other whistleblowers aren't even, you know, the other whistleblowers are getting banned. But why is this from, you know, if anyone knows what we're talking about, the one with the blue bar. So
exactly, the reason that we had this, let's say, trial run blackout, let's say, right, from one of the biggest tech companies in the world. And at the same time, the leader of that tech company is having lives as his whole system collapsed, right? For me, that was just kind of weird. I'm not saying I know the full truth. I'm just saying it feels weird. Like your entire platform, it didn't exist on the interwebs for I don't know how many hours. And you're giving a live stream, like super cool as a cucumber. And then... you know, there's all this disclosure coming out, and all the mainstream is talking about it. Whereas stuff that's underlying, like what's really happening behind the scenes, is being cut. And so, I have to question that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's kind of weird. Yeah. So I think that the time of people questioning what they're seeing in front of their faces, which is really a bit too convenient given the way the times are, I think more of that is going to be happening. And mostly it's to have compassion for our fellow human, like we're all doing the best we can. And I would say some of us deal with tolerance better than others. I definitely take it to heart when people's bodily sovereignty is literally impinged on. I'm just so against that. And I will do whatever I can in my power to help those people. You know, like I have my detox of that sharp thing. I share as much information as I can. And after that, have to trust people to be sovereign and make decisions that are best for them. And sometimes it's difficult, but just know that, for example, if you're losing your livelihood over what you believe in, you're always going to be directed to something higher, and you're going to find support in places that you can't even imagine. Places, avenues, new portals of abundance will open up to you if you're sticking to your truth. Because if you're in your truth and you're in your alignment, you will be provided for. And it's to have and really learn how to cultivate this trust, this certainty that you are always provided for. And stuff like energy shortages, which, you know, all kinds of shortages, but let's just speak about energy because someone spoke about energy prices, right? Technology for free energy has been here since before the times of Tesla. Tesla spoke about it. He was ridiculed, shut down. You know, he died almost in disrepute. And he knew ancient codes of free energy, because as human beings, we are born, we are sustained to be sustained by nature. And nature and technology is available for us to have free energy. It's just been hidden. And so that's an agenda as well. That's a little bit of digging required, but you will know that the institutions, the financial institutions that have built the world as we see it, are all parts of control structures. And the reason so many of us are feeling helpless in so many ways is because we're still living under slave codes. And I'm not using that word lightly. I'm using that, and it's like, you know, I know, especially in the US, if you use any of these things, that people can come after you. I would just like to say that we are all under the same matrix program, and this matrix is dissolving. And you will be able to see all of the glitches and cracks through this matrix that's dissolving, and what kind of new earth are we in the process of birthing right now. You know, what are the kind of leaders that we want to have representing us? And for me, the new type of leadership is literally one of collaboration, of working together, as opposed to hierarchy. Hierarchy is collapsing. And right before the collapse, it's darkest. So now we're seeing the most control, definitely of my lifetime, probably in generations, probably in hundreds of years, of control being at its highest.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Wow, Simran. And it's true. When you see what's happening, this collapse, it's sort of like they know, the 1%, as you said, knows that for a millennia, we have relied on a system, you know, because that system feeds that 1%. It feeds a particular group. And so what's happening is they see that people are recognizing the secrets, if you will, to the universe, which aren't really secrets. As you said, Tesla tried to discuss the original Tesla, not the car, but Tesla tried to discuss, right, to anyone that's wondering, the original, Nikola Tesla, he tried to promote and show and showcase the free energy, because this is something that we all have access to. But knowing that secret is threatening to a system that profits off of your following, your control.
Totally.
You know, and with the US, I know that we obviously have more freedoms. Like, there have been things happening in New York, which was one of the tougher states, if you will. And I don't know everything exactly, because, you know, I don't watch the news as well. But what I do know is that the world is watching right now, because things have gotten so just controlling in Canada and Australia, to a point where even people who cannot physically receive something that has no research backing in the long run. Besides, if we're going to talk about science, let's talk about that, because
Right.
you know, those folks that really believe in that, and I'm not saying I don't believe in science. You know, I obviously work in Western medicine, and
Right.
that's, we're not knocking that system. What we're
Right.
saying is that it's the control aspect. This is no longer about health, as you said. This
Not
is no
about
longer
health.
about health.
And we don't have full disclosure, and we are in the process of trials, and a lot of, let's say, the adverse reporting is not being done. We are the trials, right? And we just have to know that what we're getting into. It can be a choice. You can have the belief that, oh, doing this for the collective. Is that really true, or are you following a narrative? Now, if you really believe that to be true, I have to respect your point of view. But then, at the other hand, you also have to respect someone's point of view that don't agree with you. And I feel that's where it seems to be an asymmetric kind of generosity, because it seems like the people who are saying, I believe in body sovereignty, the right to choose, it seems like that's only available one way. And if you decide to choose for yourself, I can't even say the I word, but it's about your body's own defenses, because obviously we'll get canceled. If you want to if people believe in their body's innate ability to heal, they're almost like cold selfish. And this is not the kind of world that I want to be part of creating, which is why, in my own way, I am going to do everything I can in every small action that I take, in whatever I share where there's a little bit more freedom. I'm going to do my job in helping people really understand what is actually happening. And then they decide. So I'll present information, and then they decide what is true for them. But yeah.
I'd love to share this too, because I was thinking about this earlier. So a few days ago, I did a different live, and on that live, I got this channeled message of what you said, the co-creation of communities in the future. So there's two timelines that I'm aware of, and I don't know. Me sharing this, I just want to preface, is not that it's solidified of any shape or form, and it's not fear-based or anything. So the first timeline, which I have been picking up, is that, and I don't know if I'll be around at this time. I hope I am, and I hope it's soon. But basically, communities sort of like in pods, if you will, not like a legit dome, but I'm just seeing more of this co-creation, more of these communities that are returning back to the time frame. Very timely, because my friend just joined and he wanted to know about timelines. So this is perfect timing. So basically, this one timeline that I've been picking up is this co-creation of community, where we're returning back to a time frame where we relied on, as you said, the farming, natural medicine, you know, through, and I don't think I've been saying this in my other live. If they shadow ban me, you know, I will keep fighting for it. But basically, natural immunity,
Right.
You know, taking care of holistic health and prioritizing what was when Earth first started, essentially. Now, the other timeline, and now this is not solidified, it's not set in stone. I just have to say this, okay? There's a friend that I have that was a medium, and she developed cancer, and she had to she went through the natural route, and that worked for her, and then she had stress and it came back, and the doctor said, you need to pursue, you know, Western medicine, and she didn't. But she said before she passed, before 2020 started, that there was a timeline where she was seeing genders eliminated, people looking very similar. So, but I don't know how far in advanced, but she said that the people would look as if they were, sounds like a Native American style society. Yep, exactly. That's Rob, that's correct. That's definitely the energy that I was picking up with that. This other timeline, again, it's just what she clarified before her passing was people looking half like white, half Asian, a majority of society, and
Hybrids.
that. Yeah, hybrids. Yep, that's the word that's been used. And and my throat was just, or it's been itching here, and so I just take that as like a anyway. So you know where I'm going with that. But yeah, so it's not solidified. at all. And I definitely think that more and more people are waking up because the universe is pushing things into the way. There's so many light workers that are coming to the forefront. But as you said, being cognizant and aware of the whistleblowers that are making it to mainstream media are the ones that are being set up to say a certain narrative.
Right.
Because why are other whistleblowers, why are other people who want to talk about natural immunity getting shadow banned?
Yeah.
Why are they not being given a stage to do interviews or to talk about ways to naturally heal from what is essentially the common cold, right? And so, yeah, so I would love to hear your thoughts on my timeline kind of talk, but also the tolerance
I think you're
piece.
picking up on the timelines that like, and I fully agree with everything you've said. It's a timeline of what a lot of souls have going through their DNA, their ancient DNA, because we have all been here. That's why you're feeling it. That's why so many of us are getting the same message. The way that I see what you were saying about, you know, coming back to the land, coming back to community, and one of your followers is saying back to the Native American style of living, making Gaia Earth the core of our reality, because Gaia is what sustains us. All the ancient civilizations, all the ancient tribes, all had connection to Gaia. And so very quickly, how I see what you received as going back to the land, coming back to the old healing arts, which is why I do the work that I'm doing, right? I believe everyone should learn how to tap into their intuition, exactly DNA activations, coming into the new age. This is all old technology from our ancient future. I'm going to say it again. This is all ancient technology from our future, because time is immaterial. For me, time is spiral. We have been here before, and we are getting, there's parts of us, parts of our soul, because our soul is ever eternal, that we are picking up on future wisdom, bringing it back so that we have the ability to change things. So if we go back to I'm going to look at Atlantis and Lemuria, because Lemuria is thank you, Full Spectrum Universe. So Lemuria in ancient terms, ancient future terms, was connected to the land, intuition, organic structures, a more feminine society. Atlantis, high technology, the transhuman agenda, pursuit of power, more masculine. Neither are better or worse. It's when things go out of balance, right? Both civilizations collapsed. I know that I've had lifetimes in Lemuria and Atlantis. What happened to Atlantis? It's collapsed because of greed and of getting so far away from the organic structure of Gaia, of humans, that it collapsed. It literally imploded. Yes, there was a flood, but why was there a flood? Because they were manipulating Gaia, exactly what is happening now. Manipulating food supply, manipulating our bodies, manipulating DNA, manipulating the weather systems. Like, you know, it's a repeat. And so we are being called right now to bring in some more of that Lemurian code, to unite it with the Atlantean code, so that we're in Hieros Gamos. This is the body of work that I do, bringing balance to the masculine and the feminine, right? Uniting those timelines, healing them. So we're in right now as humanity, we're at the choice point of healing those old traumas that a lot of us can feel literally in our system as we experience and go through this current now moment. And it's exactly as you said, we're being called to balance, come back to the earth, go back to the healing arts, right? That's also why I'm teaching a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, which is energy healing, psychic stuff, channeling. And it's not just me who can do it. Every single human is able to do this. And I can see a timeline where we're going to need this, because no one is going to want to use emergency medicine or pharma. There's a time and place for it, but it's going to take a lot of time to rebuild that trust. So I'm not saying it's bad, not at all. I'm saying it's gone too far in one direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
doing
love
the
what,
self-work, creating balance of masculine and feminine. Exactly. Balance of
yep,
masculine and feminine.
collapsing that older wounded masculine system. This
Totally.
is what's
And
happening.
it's totally that. And there's also, there's a wounded masculine, a toxic masculine, there's also a toxic feminine. So it's
Yeah.
not like the feminine is like all airy and nice and wonderful. There's also a very manipulative, dark feminine.
Yeah.
And so literally coming together is about healing it. And definitely the planet right now has gone way too far into the patriarchal, wounded, toxic masculine agenda. Having said that, there are some amazing, healing, very powerful men who are really awakened. And ooh, I have goosebumps as I
I
say
know.
this. And they are holding codes for so many people. They're holding the space. They're in special places around the world. They're grid workers. Lots of people on your live are grid workers. And we're all being called to hold that line, a line that we know believes in the purity of the human race, believes in Gaia and Gaia's ability to provide for everyone, not just the 1%, believes in equanimity, believes in freedom to choose, believes in self-regulation, believes in everything the earth has can heal us. So we're
Yes.
called to go back to that. All the ancient systems, the Chinese systems, Ayurvedic systems, the Mayans, right? All the ancient systems were very connected to the earth, the elementals, working with herbs, with power, with crystals, with harnessing free power. And we're going
Exactly.
to come back and we know about disclosure. It's going to be not just disclosure about what's happening in our 3D reality, but also about things that have been repressed, about beings. We all know we're not alone in this universe, right? Most of us know this, but now they're just going to admit it. So the level of disclosure that's coming up is really able to collapse people's realities, which is why so many people don't want to go there. And I
Exactly.
understand it because it's
Uh,
painful, like your entire life is built on a hologram,
Quite literally.
literally.
People are scared, but I think that at the end outcome is actually more fruitful in our favor, not just for the individual, but also on the external for everyone.
Right.
The frequency has to change, and it's already changing. It's just about the unconscious, and even some of us might still have levels of unconsciousness within us, but the unconscious waking up. And I want to read what Rob said. We have to come back to elevation of lifting each other up, preserving the ancient teachings to light the path forward for our children. Exactly, because this next generation of children, it's so interesting he says that. The past few days I've been having dreams of me traveling, babysitting, doing things with children, helping them. It's been profound, and what that's telling me is that the future is lying in that generation. We
Yeah.
have a duty as well, obviously, because
Goosebumps.
we have to set
Yeah.
it up, right? But the
Totally.
generation that's coming in, 10 and younger, and continuing until this kind of sort of uh, just I'm visioning it dissolves, right? This timeline dissolves or integrates rather into a more higher transmutation of 5D
Yeah.
frequency and above. What we're seeing is this new generation being able to implement some of these practices that are very similar to connection to Mother Gaia, the Native American societies,
Totally.
early ancient communities, right? I want to
Right.
emphasize that.
Exactly. Exactly. And um, you know, we're here to defend and also to prepare the next generation of children who are coming in to make sure that they're actually born organic,
Yeah.
right? That they're not born hybrids because of our manipulation and tinkering with DNA. There's a movie actually on Amazon that has talked, I don't forgot what it's called, but it's hybrid of there's hybrid human and animal DNA, because guess where
Yes.
this particular mutation of this current pandemic that's going around the world, it's gain of function research, looking into it, gain of function research on stuff that where you're manipulating viruses jumping from one species to another. So we're here to defend the integrity of our DNA for future generations. And these children coming in are coming in with much less karma, much less density than definitely my generation, definitely than my generation has. They're coming in much lighter. They're able to forgive much more. They're able to be much more connected to other realms. They're literally, there's a timeline if we allow it, because humanity, we have a choice, right? If we allow it, the new earth is built much better by the children. So you're having these visions of taking care of the new generation. And by the way, it is possible in your lifetime. It depends on our consciousness. For me, I had a timeline where all of this would have been over in a year. Clearly, I was rudely awakened,
Same,
right?
it's okay. Yeah.
I was super optimistic, and now I'm like, okay, get real. Keep up the amazing work, spreading light. Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you for spreading the light. Full spectrum universe. I don't know.
Definitely connect. Yeah, he's on Clubhouse as well. Simran, he's on Clubhouse. He has a lot of COVID rooms and rooms about higher awareness and ascension. I would recommend. I'll send you his page so you guys can communicate.
But I feel like
it's amazing.
You're doing some amazing stuff, and you see through everything, and you are one of those sacred, divine, masculine who is a powerful placeholder for the new generation. And so thank you for all of the work that you're doing. You know, we're all in this together, and that's why I'm so passionate about people getting back in touch with the innate power that we all have within us to change things. And even sometimes, like me, I feel powerless to do stuff. I'm taking things in my body that I know my soul doesn't desire, but I incarnated, and it's so clear to me, I incarnated knowing that I would have to do that. And I tried to escape it for a long time, but probably, and I'm not shown why I've had to do it like this. Yes, on one level, on the 3D level, it's for my family, for love. I'm definitely choosing love. And at the same time, I feel like it's part of my mission to have to go through this in order to transmute it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, I just feel like people like you, people who are really open-minded, people who are holding literally no agenda other than to help people. Let's just hope that is the agenda that moves forward, because literally the world that we're going into, there's no place for this dominance and control. That for sure, I know for certainty, that timeline is definitely in the process of collapsing. It's just a question of how long is it going to take?
How long,
that
exactly.
Is up. Yeah, that is totally up to us. How much pain do we want to go through as humanity in order for us to, let's say, create a new way? And as souls, a lot of us have this deep programming that there's no gain without pain. That's not true. That's just what's happened to a lot of our ancestors. So we believe that in order to have any growth, success, abundance, that there has to be pain. But that's an old collapsing paradigm that has been imposed on us. It's a slave code, because as humanity, we're born to be abundant. We're born to be healthy. We're born to rely on nature to provide everything for us. We don't need Medicare. We don't need full governmental control. We don't need, handouts, because we're abundant, and we just have to remember that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, Simran, thank you so much for joining. This has been a powerful last hour, and just to hear, your perspective. Obviously, you're in France, and we know it's very tough over there, but I love what you said at the beginning, and I want to bring it back to that when you said you're doing what you're doing because of love.
Yeah.
Just, I'm going to generalize, everything that you're doing is spreading the message. What you're experiencing is
Yeah.
because of love. And I'm just so happy because this means more people joining, as you said, the grid workers, the light workers that have joined this chat today. People are waking up, and I believe in the power of humanity. I believe that consciousness is awakening as a whole. And we have to just, it's a waiting game. We have to trust that and see what unfolds. So I want to end the live here shortly, but I would love to just hear you share your Telegram again, what your handle is. I don't know how Telegram has a
Yes.
handle. Yeah.
So it's Simi Rhea, and or you know what? Go, because I've had to change that a few times. Go
Okay.
click onto my profile on Instagram, and if you go to my link tree, I have my Telegram on there, and there's also on a highlight that shows you what my Telegram is. I just have a channel at the moment. I haven't allowed chat because that would just overwhelm me, but I'm just sharing a whole bunch of information, some protocols, and if you want to engage or ask questions, you can ask me on Instagram, as long as I'm still there and not canceled. So
You will be, don't worry, my love.
I'm also teaching one of the modalities that I work on, theta healing, because I really believe that more and more people will need to access healing arts in the future, and it's time that we start now. It's all about getting into your intuition. It's all about creating abundance. It's all about jumping timelines, working with a quantum, making water able to be portable no matter where you are, working with the weather. It's all kinds of crazy cosmic stuff. And I have a few programs, one for soulmates, another one called Fate Changers, which is literally about those people who are here to make a huge difference and how to unlock those codes within you. And none of the work I'm doing is me telling you what to do. It's always getting to the core of who you are and helping you remember that. Because everything that happens is with your participation and your creation. So my whole mission in this lifetime is to bring people back to their soul blueprint. And so everything I'm doing is with that. So Telegram is obviously a place where I can be a little bit more extreme, which I like because I'm quite eccentric that way. But Yasmin, thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for everything that you're doing. You're such a beautiful, beautiful human. I love you so much.
Love you. Thank you so much, Simran. Okay,
Bye.
I'll save the live. See you all another time.
Bye.
And bye.